to our latest installment of Psalm 119. I have some different products that I wanted to share with you today that I used on my spread. So this one turned out to be a little bit more of a mixed media spread than usual. As always, I've been using my watercolor gouache that I got for Christmas that I'm in love with. So this is my palette, which I never show you. So I've got a big palette, and these are some brushes that my top three favorite brushes right now are two quill brushes, two mop quill brushes. That's what I'm using right there. And then a silver black velvet size 8. And I'll put links down below for them. I don't necessarily know that you can get them off of Amazon, but at least you can just see the brushes that I have fallen in love with and that really have made a difference. If you hate watercolor, I can't say it enough to get um, go ahead and invest in a professional grade watercolor set and just one great brush and you will see all the difference in the world. It really does make a difference in watercolor gouache, the quality of the materials that you're using. So we finally got up. I did skip a little bit ahead this week because I really didn't get any pictures for the next 8 that we had. So I've skipped ahead to Psalm 119, 103, and you probably guessed that it is the "How sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth." So I have been looking forward to doing this one. This is one of the scriptures that we all know. So I've been looking forward to do this one, and it was fun to bring it to life. So I combined in my spread this week the bread of life, which is Jesus, with the sweetness of His Word, because when we are sustained by Him, it's not is the relationship that we get to have with Him is not one of hardship and cruelty and a taskmaster. It's the sweetness of honey in our mouth. Like He is the Word made flesh. So we have the bread of life that sustains us and the relationship that is just sweeter than honey in our mouth. And His Word becomes something that we can embrace and look forward to um, throughout our day, throughout our lives. So I liked combining the bread of life and the sweetness of honey. So you're going to see as I'm going along that I get a monthly prescription, and this is it in Art Snacks. I'll have links for everything down below. So this is the Art Snacks box that you get once a month, and I used some of the materials, these King Art brush pens. They are watercolor pens. I'm going to say, I'm going to give you a little bit, spoiler alert, I didn't like them much. I am completely and utterly partial to the Tombow watercolor brush. I love them. I love the springiness that they have. They're not so springy. They're kind of firm. They're saturated with color. They mix well. They play well. You can use water very well. They will watercolor out or they can stay really bright. I love a Tombow brush. I tried to get oh, what are they called? I also tried because they're cheaper, on Amazon. Hold on, I gotta find out. I forgot the name of them. Aztec, the Arteza brush pens. Not a fan. Very springy. You can't get in and really like lay down color. And I guess I have a heavier hand with my brushes and with my markers. You kind of just have to be very, very gentle. And I don't know. I just want to get in and go with it. I don't want to have to be sitting there thinking about this brush is not responding well. So I don't care for the feel of them. Even my watercolor brush, which is saturated with water and pigment, has more of a firmness to it than these brushes do. The brushes also don't have any kind of a number on them. You can't reference like that I used, number 1647 or anything like that. They're like the Arteza that they're just color coded. So I do like to know if I'm going to be walking away from a um, a piece and coming back to it. I want to have a key of what I was using. Arteza does use a number, but like you can go back and see that you use teal 138, let's say. But the King Art has no reference number, but they really do feel to me identical to the Arteza. Um, so Tombos have a number, almost like Copic, that you can key it out and you can reference it and you can put out a board so you know exactly what colors you have. So here I'm testing them with water and I'm just adding with that silver brush, the black silver brush, black velvet brush, I'm coming in and just putting in water and seeing do they leave out, will they act like watercolor and mix well with water? You can see on that bottom one, this is my Tombow. Oh my gosh, you see how I can just go in and just lay it in? I don't have to sit there and act like it's I don't even know. I don't like the feel of them. I'd be curious to see what you guys think. But you see how also how beautiful the Tombow responds to water. You can keep get a complete gradiated look, a gradient. That's seamless. It's easy. The King Art you have to work a little bit more at. And if you're just starting, who needs the stress of it? Just get Tombows. Like I have nothing to gain from you getting Tombows, but I can say that frustration wise, they're a joy to work with. Their Tombos are just lovely. So I did use the King Art because I had them and I got them and I thought I would try them out for you guys. So I am popping in a little bit of color here. This is bread. You know how bread has those little like pock marks in it? So I'm just kind of getting those pock marks in a very lazy way, and just splashing on the color. I will go in and kind of just add in a little bit of shadow on the bottom because those pock marks will are three-dimensional and they will have a shadow on the lower side of it. So just getting my colors in with my Tombos because I can. Um, and then also here because I'm using the watercolor gouache that I have the capability to use that very, very opaque white that gouache is known for. So here I'm just popping in that white because that honey will glisten. You know, the sweetness of his word is just glistening. So I also am going to use oh, I forgot the gelatos. But I don't know. I'm trying to find my honeycomb stencil here. I really like the Marabou. Again, they'll be below the Marabou art crayon. To me, they're creamier than gelato. Um, sometimes you can get gelatos. I don't know if they're old or what, but they can be very cracky and hard to work with. So watch how creamy it is when I just put that down on my it's just it's nice. It's just creamy and nice. And then I can just take it and smear it with my stencil. Ideally, I would have used some sort of a tool, but I got inspired. I was filming, the camera was rolling, so I just kind of grabbed what I had and went with what I had close to me. My fingers were attached, so they worked well. Oh, um, so I'm adding in all of I think I'm going to add in three different colors of the honeycomb pattern, um, just to give it some depth and to just give it a little bit of a nice palette for the background. But then you'll see I'm going to go back in again and I'm going to wash out some of it because I don't want my picture to compete with the background. I want the focus to be on the picture that I've made and not have that honeycomb. If you see the way it is right now, it's competing with the picture, and I don't want that. I have to press it back a little bit and make it not so prominent. But first I have to lay it in, and then I can knock it back a little bit. So this is not knocked back yet. But you see it? Isn't that, you see how it's just the um, two are competing. So, how have you guys been doing? How has it been going with the state of affairs? I hope that you are getting a little bit of downtime, that you're getting some time to just spend with him. I just hope that you're having a sweetness of days like honey, you know. So, I wanted I didn't want it to be so fluorescent in the background that it took away from the yellow of the honey. You know, the yellow honey had to be the highlight of this piece, not anything in the background. So, all right. So see right now, remember that when you're working, everything is a stage, everything is layers, and everything that you're doing in a moment you have to know where you're going next. Like, don't get caught up in it. Oh, I hate it right now. Because right now I don't like it, but I know that I have a plan of what else I'm going to do. So just always stick with it and keep on seeing it through to the end. Um, and here I am just knocking it back a little. So I'm going to give you, I think I speed up again in a second, and there's something else that I got in my Art Snacks box, and it was a Higgins India ink chisel marker. It is thick. You'll see it come up on a minute. It's a big chisel tip marker. Um, I don't know if you could write anything fine with it, and I don't know if they come in different sizes or not. Um, but sometimes it is really hard to get that black, something that will go over everything on your pieces. This will go over anything. It is India ink. You'll see it. And I was also worried, that I just saw my pages. I was worried that it was going to bleed through because it is a black marker. So I was afraid that it would bleed through, but it didn't. I mean, it behaved wonderfully on the page. It did what it was supposed to do. It was very opaque. It cut through over gelatos. Like that's a test. If something can write over a gelato, you know that it's a workhorse. And it did. It did a beautiful job at it. So I like the Higgins. I think I would definitely recommend the Higgins. I would personally not recommend the King Art brush pens. Um, if you want to start out with watercolor markers, I would just get a few of the Tombow because they're lovely. They are just absolutely lovely. And I could see getting frustrated with the King Art because they are a little bit persnickety to work with. They're very springy, very springy. So I think that that is all that I have for today. We are going to keep on working through Psalm 119. We are almost done with it. I think that our next I think that next week we're going to be doing that. His word is a lamp unto my feet. So we've got a couple of weeks of scriptures that everybody knows and that are just fun to do. So stay tuned, and I will see you again next week. So that's all I got. Let me just say quick before I go. I could not, I wanted a white to really pop up. You see how the gouache, when you put down the white gouache, because we put down gesso first, it can absorb some of those colors that are underneath it. It doesn't just lay right on top of it. It does absorb some of the colors underneath it. And I needed a white to really pop out that highlight of the honey. So here I'm using a white jelly roll to uh, to pop it in. So that's all I've got. When you see the India ink, this is it. In order to test it, which would have been a logical thing to do on any other page but the page I was working on, I just did a little bit of like a zipper pattern up on the top to see if it would actually bleed through, and it doesn't. And it goes over this gelato border that I put on. So, guys, I'm going to play the music. I am out, and I will see you next week. Be safe, be blessed. Thanks, guys. Bye.